All right, welcome to the fourth and final review of the evening. I guess technically second review, but you know what I mean. But anyway, so this time up is Nightmare Reaper. I've actually been hinting about this game for a couple weeks now, as it's the other boomer shooter that we are covering in our reviews for the time being. Like, that is to say, another one of these hasn't come up in the queue yet. Like, now, Nightmare Reaper is, even though it is also taking a, let's say, a fairly generic approach to reaching back into the past for inspiration in terms of 90s FPSs. You can also see that this is taking a different track than the Kerr game we covered recently. In a lot of ways, because what you're seeing here, for example, first of all, is actually a dream sequence. As you are a patient at a mental institution who's clearly undergoing some rough times. And, this is also, this is at once both storyline premise stuff and also an explanation for another thing that this game is doing. And it is in that, because of course this is a subgenre, the roguelike boomer shooter. Because there's definitely more than one of those. And this is, this is using a lot of roguelike elements. Like in terms of the level here, they're these prefab assets. Like, how to describe it accurately? Like, it's not full on randomization, but you will get a lot of different rooms in different places kind of deal. But maybe like the general layout stays the same. That is what is meant by procedural generation. This has its advantages for the usual procedural generation, but I gotta admit, I'm not a big fan of this in the FPS genre. Granted, I won't lie, I'm burnt out on roguelike elements in general because they show up all over the goddamn place in indie games. But, taking that apart, one of the hallmark features of 90s FPS games is the level design. So that is definitely a change from, once again, going back to Kerr, that had actual handmade levels that were very much in the style of 90 FPSs. Very large, very sprawling. You can easily spend like 45 minutes on a single level and not see everything. This game is, for better or for worse, the opposite of that. The levels are rather short. Not, say we had to put this on a Game Boy level of short. But in comparison to an actual 90s FPS, levels are definitely short. At least, the earlier chapters. I do not know how long. I'll admit, I did not play this game as much as I wanted to because, I was having a lot of performance issues. Especially when a lot of enemies are on screen, which happens fairly often. And I think this is, it's also my computer and Unreal Engine have never played well in most occasions, and this was not the worst, but it was enough where I had to say, enough is enough. I've gotten the idea of what this game can do, and it's time to move on because, I'm tired of the fucking slideshow, which is especially a big problem in a game like this, because movement is key. There's a lot of enemies. The goddamn hit scanners, not gonna lie, worst part of the game by a country mile, because they're on the level of and I guess they're not technically hit scanners because I could see the bullets, for a fraction. They're fucking hit scanners. They move and hit with the accuracy of a hit scanner. So I'm gonna consider them to be hit scanners, and they're on like blood levels of bullshit. Maybe not quite as bad as a cultist there, but it gave me the flashbacks. Like, absolutely hated dealing with the hit scanners. They can get fucked, and yeah, definitely prioritize them as a target because they will take significant chunks out of your health. And as you might be noticing from the gameplay here, you do have a mighty boot, but the mighty boot is a lot less integral to the combat than it was in Kerr. Like, you don't use it for move. You use it like the Duke Nukem Mighty Boot. No additional flares were added. Let's see. In terms of like the overall motif outside of the hospital here, the aesthetic is very early 90s FPS games. Like, think Heretic or Hexen, in terms of what it looks like. If I had to assign a 90s FPS. But, it's more in the style than, this looks like Hexen. Honestly, like, the overall style is more genericized than, say, a Medieval, where I'm like, this is Hexen, this is Heretic, but especially Hexen. I'm like, and one thing I have not touched upon is the weapon system. Now you see Petty has a knife here, and it's got 2 attacks. The main attack, if I'm remembering correctly, is actually throwing the knife, and Petty's doing the alternate attack here where you slash.
Flip that. Main mouse button slashes and right-click throws.
I might have reversed that on my combat. So, but point is, you got a primary attack, and you got a secondary attack, and trying to remember if it applies. I'm not sure if that applies to every weapon, but it's there. I'm like, and you see Petty, and in terms of weapons, you will get weapons scattered throughout the level, and they're handled in a roguelike fashion as well. And this is also not the only game that uses this particular system, where there is a myriad of melee and ranged weapons. Like Petty Fan here has just picked up a bow. It's not just medieval stuff either. There's a lot of guns, a lot of grenade launchers, shotguns, your typical core FPS weaponry. And you'll get more esoteric affairs. Like a lot of the mystical weapons would fall into that. Like the weapon that fires mystical bugs, some kind of enemy. And the spell book is another. And you have like 3 types of ammo. You got the bullet ammo, which also applies to the bow weapons for some reason. You got the grenade weapons. That's the large bullets there. And the blue flame is the mystic weapons. And so the key catch about the weapon system is you can only retain 1 weapon after a level is over. And, in the early stage here, it's 1 level 1 weapon. Because, you can get up to level 3 weapons I've seen. And you need to upgrade in order to retain a level 3 weapon. And how you do that is with the upgrade system. Once again, this being a roguelike, it's got an upgrade system, and it's a weird one because I don't know, for extra nostalgia's sake, it's not just an upgrade system; it's a full-on mini game done in the style of an early '90s platform game. I like that a lot less, because, well, to be honest, most early '90s platformers were not all that good, and it retains the wonky physics and clunky control of an early '90s PC platform game. It's not difficult or anything. It's just that is not a particular genre I ever wish to go back to, if I'm being honest. So, and the key with the upgrade system is like you can get more gold, and you use the gold to do the upgrades. Not just in terms of holding better weapons at the end of the level. More ammo, more starting ammo, faster weapon switching, because for some reason it's got the modern day weapon system in terms of what you can have two weapons at a time, but you don't have to drop the weapons either. You just have to weapon switch in the menu. And yeah, this game also brought back the fucking first-person jumping. Like, dear retro FPS makers, stop doing this. Stop bringing back first-person jumping. It's awful. It will always be awful. And it needs to stay in the past. I didn't like it back in the 90s. I don't like it now. I guess you could call that subjective, but that's where my subjectivity lies. Oh, and Petty's also demonstrating the one of the other. This is not a pun, but it fits, hooks of the game, as you have a grappling hook. And you use it to moving closer.
At
really
least that
good.
could potentially slightly reduce the amount of jumping you need to do.
Potentially, if there are enemies there. If they're not,
you can grapple hook to the wall too.
Yeah. Like I said, the first person jumping wasn't that bad. It's just at the very least, Kerr didn't have pits, and made that part of the actual game. This is just this is flat out old school, busy work that's annoying because you can't see your feet. So anyway, and I guess this might be the most controversial part of the review, but the music, hated it. Absolutely fucking hated it. Like, and yes, I know this is from indie retro FPS impresario Andrew Hulshut. However you pronounce that. Hulshut. Sorry about that, but it's just this long and droning metal track that doesn't change, and you're gonna. It's one of those. The track plays as long as the enemies are on screen, so it gets monotonous quickly. Turned it off. The sound design is actually really good. Definitely a lot more on point than the music. And in terms of the graphics, it's once again a more retro style invocation than anything else. It's like, no, you probably couldn't actually play this on an actual toaster since it's using Unreal Engine, which is a bit of an anomaly when it comes to retro FPS games. I'm not saying it doesn't come up, but let's just say Unity is a far more prevalent engine from the games I've played so far. And there are other engines that are used besides Unity and Unreal. like Iron Fury used actual build engine. GZ Doom is powering a lot of stuff, like the Horny Orc Doom mod thing. Heat On. I actually bounced off of that one because, once again, it had a lot of first-person jumping, more than I was comfortable playing with. You might have seen that there are quote-unquote secrets in this game. That's another casualty of the procedural generation. They can't be all that clever about it, so a lot of the time it's like, here's a big crack in the wall. I wonder if there might be a secret that might be behind said wall. Yeah, I think that's about all I can muster in terms of gameplay and really everything here. So pricing, the game clocks in at $24.99. Do I think this is a worthwhile price? Generally, yes. If you don't like the random elements of the game, I'd say stay away, since they are prevalent enough where they're going to make a major effect on the gameplay. But I think as an FPS, this is a very solid boomer shooter. Not as good as anything I played from New Blood, but I definitely like this better than Kerr. No, I didn't have any problems with the actual movement this time around. Petty, you've been playing the game, at least the demo. What are your impressions?
I think it's kind of fun. I'd like to see about playing more.
Yeah, I said $24.99. That's definitely more than some boomer shooters, but it's not that much. Like, I'd say $5 above the usual premium. It also does have a soundtrack available for download for $10. No bundle here. I can't recommend this in good faith, as like I said, I just got really tired of the droning metal after a good long while. But your mileage may vary. Like, I'd say overall a solid 7.5 on the arbitration scale of arbitration. Right. So, any other questions, comments, or concerns about Nightmare Reaper?
I think I'm good.
All right. I'm going to assume Galaxy is good as well.
Oh, sorry, I was muted. Yeah, I think so.
All right. So, yeah, that'll about do it for this installment of the Fragments of Silicon reviews. Coming up on the week ahead. Let me get to the right space here. I'm sorry. Hate it when. Make sure I got the right week. No, not yet. Not there. Here. Apologies about that. So let's see. On Wednesday, May 18th, we'll be having Gail Samanaka and Mike McNamara of Rocket Panda Games. So Rocket Panda Games, they are a new publisher on the scene, having just released their first title, Phantom Breaker Omnia Deluxe. So what this is Phantom Breaker Omnia is a massive update to Phantom Breaker Extra, a 1 versus 1 2D anime fighter originally released by Made in 2013. This game features 2 guest characters, Kuritsu Makisi. You know how I am with foreign names, so just roll with it. From Steins Gate, and Rimi Sakihata from Chaos Head, as well as 2 brand new characters created specifically for Phantom Breaker Omnia. Gotta admit, I have not played the fighting game, but I've played the Brawler that was released some years back. Trying to remember the subtitle there. Give me a minute here. No, it doesn't really matter. But yeah, so we'll be talking about Omnia here. And on Friday, so we are planning to have our good friend Benjamin Anamuse of TA Publishing back on the program. He hasn't gotten back to me on if this Friday is viable yet or not. Hopefully it is, because we are planning to talk about the Front Mission remakes, which will be, if nothing else, very newsworthy, I think, should it happen. But yeah, this one's a bit shaky. So we'll see what happens there. Anyway, so until Wednesday. Oh, and good news on the Moonhawk Studios Presents front. Mac has crawled back from the brink once again. He's got his car back. He's he managed to not just get the money for his car, but some other bills and sundry expenses have been fulfilled. So his life is back on track for the moment. Yes, we know. I know. This is thing.
It's a moment.
Yeah. But as far we do have an episode of MSP planned with a guest. That is happening. So until Wednesday, I shall wish you good gaming.